Okay, this is a narration of Another Squirrel in Town, a fan fiction of the popular show SpongeBob SquarePants. This was written by Never Too Old for Cartoons on www.fanfiction.net. Just a disclaimer, I'm not being paid to read this out loud. I know that I am a highly requested narrator for things like this, but I am very passionate about the story and I would just like to share it with my peers. Okay, a quick synopsis of the story, the TLDR, if you will. When SpongeBob meets Mandy Tails, a squirrel new to Bikini Bottom, they quickly become excellent friends. But when Sandy and Mandy meet, they just might become so much more. But will Mandy's sordid past destroy their chances at happiness in the very foundation of Bikini Bottom? I'm pretty sure Bikini Bottom's in sand, but... Can two squirrels truly find something special under the sea? Or will secrets and circumstances tear them apart? A romance that spirals into action. Sandy and some SpongeBob / Squidward.
Okay, everyone.
I didn't read this before. What in tarnation? She mumbled, and decided to go in for a closer look. By the time she scaled up half of the stone, the figure vanished into the cover of the night. Disconcerted, Sandy gathered her things and tried to shake the sighting. Maybe she only imagined it. After all, it'd be unlikely that another squirrel would settle in Bikini Bottom. The chances of that had to be next to nothing, right? She laughed at her vivid imagination, and I pressed the space bar, so I don't know where I am. Oh. She laughed at her vivid imagination and wandered toward the Krusty Krab. I gotta read this whole sentence again. Okay. She laughed at her vivid imagination and wandered towards the Krusty Krab without a second thought. Mandy Tails walked in the opposite direction towards her house. Whose house? I don't know. Pronouns are ambiguous. The following afternoon, SpongeBob's laugh echoed through all of Bikini Bottom. Patrick's low chuckle mingled with the noise as the game continued. They were both wearing floral-printed scarves on their eyes like blindfolds. Exactly like blindfolds, not like blindfolds. And they scampered about town without a second thought. Whoever ran into something first lost the game. So far, they'd only caused 3 boat accidents and disturbed 2 playgrounds and the snail park. SpongeBob has a snail.
Holy shit.
Compared to last time, this was an improvement. Finally, SpongeBob smacked face first into a rock. Patrick heard the collision and removed the scarf in celebration. I win! I win! He bellowed. Well played, my friend, SpongeBob giggled and rearranged his jumbled facial features. How far did we get this time? Patrick swept the... I hit space again. Patrick swept the landscape and pointed out a landmark in the distance. There's Sandy's house! Wow, we must have gone in circles to get here. SpongeBob scratched his head as they started near the tree dome in the first place. Let's go see her. Maybe we can all go jellyfishing. Chasing each other and tripping over coral and rocks, the duo awkwardly rolled and stumbled to the glass of the tree dome. They pressed their faces to the glass, but they didn't see Sandy anywhere. Patrick decided that it'd be best to continuously knock louder and louder until she answered the door. While he banged away, SpongeBob watched for activity. I don't see her, Patrick. Maybe she isn't home. Suddenly, they heard the door squeak. How had she gotten to the door without SpongeBob seeing her through the glass? The sponge didn't dwell on this inconsistency. Instead, he excitedly joined Patrick at the door. As the entrance swung open, both boys gasped and leapt backwards in shock and awe. Sandy looked different. It was obvious that a squirrel stood before them, but everything else wasn't right. This mammal, if you will, had gray fur. The suit was bright orange, with the peanut decal sewn to the breast pocket. This round helmet didn't have any decorations, such as the flower on Sandy's. What could have happened to their Texan friend? She looked fine the night before. What happened, Sandy? Are you sick? You look so peaked, SpongeBob dramatically cried. I think the new squirrel started to speak, but her strange accent caused Patrick to panic. Strange squirrel! This isn't Sandy, SpongeBob! You can't be with that face and that horrible voice! That squirrel must have eaten Sandy and taken over her house! Since SpongeBob couldn't think of a different explanation, he had to agree with his friend. Oh dear, Neptune! We have to get Sandy out of that thing! Both of them piled on top of the squirrel and tried to pump on the rodent's stomach. With ease, the squirrel sent them both flying backwards. Dusting her suit off, she raised her hands in a defensive position. Now listen! Powerfully, Patrick went running towards her like a linebacker. She simply sidestepped him and ran into the interior door. SpongeBob, upset that his pink pal had blacked out from the blow, let out a war cry and used his karate. With one hand, the squirrel fought him off with a bored expression. He tired himself out, and Patrick came into consciousness. The pink star attempted to tackle the squirrel from behind, so she effortlessly turned and caught him in his arms. Let go! Patrick flailed. SpongeBob, it's going to eat me like it ate Sandy. Listen, I didn't eat anyone. The squirrel finally spoke. Gently, Patrick was released, and the squirrel took a moment. Moment of silence. Snickers moment. We don't know. Stay tuned. I don't even know who Sandy is. This isn't her house. It's my house. I'm Mandy Tails. I just moved here a week ago. I'm from Massachusetts, a scientist, that's all. I'm not a monster. But this is Sandy's house, SpongeBob argued. Mandy shook her head. I copied the look of a dome across town. It's literally just the outside of it. An image, nothing more. I didn't want my house to stand out too much. I'm sorry if I startled you. Really, I promise that I haven't eaten anyone. We can't trust a stranger, squirrel, Patrick declared. SpongeBob sighed. Patrick, I guess she seems okay to me. We're sorry about all that. We just thought that you were a vicious murderer with an appetite for flesh. That's okay. Honest mistake. Plenty of people do it. Mandy lightly smiled and extended a hand. Truce? Absolutely. SpongeBob took her hand with a hearty shake. I'm SpongeBob SquarePants. This is my best buddy, Patrick Star. Welcome to Bikini Bottom.